are the decision maker. You are the force behind everything. You are the power maker. You get to choose, and it starts with awareness.
Welcome to the Words of Wisdom podcast. This is the place to be to raise the consciousness within in order to create a life and business of ease, flow, and freedom. This podcast offers inspiring stories, strategies, and special guests to help you become your most aligned self. I am Minerva Maharaj, a former NBA Toronto Raptors dancer turned ICF accredited spiritual life coach, founder of Goddess of Wisdom Spiritual Life Coaching, and Star Seed Academy coach training. My soul's mission is to show you the impossible is truly possible. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Let's get to awakening your soul's wisdom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Words of Wisdom. I'm so grateful to have you here today. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to know you're living your true calling. Perhaps you are at a job and you feel like there's something more for you. You may not know what that is, or maybe you have an inkling of what that might be, and you haven't taken that leap of faith yet. Or you probably know what it is you're doing, but you have those moments of, did I make the right decision? Like you took that leap of faith, you changed careers. You may feel like, okay, I'm on the right path, but you have those moments of like, did I do the right thing? Do I need to change something in my career? Is this it for me? So I've been through all of those phases. And so that's what I want to share with you here today. So I'm going to share with you 3 guidelines to help you figure out or confirm if you're living your true calling. So, number 1, I want you to take a look at your natural gifts. What are your natural gifts? Is that listening well? Is that just spewing words of wisdom? Is that organization? Is that doing something really quickly or understanding a certain genre or a certain subject really well? Look at your natural gifts. It comes to you naturally. You don't need to be trained in it. Something you were perhaps born with, and especially something that you might think is not that big of a deal. Often we overlook those things, thinking it's supposed to be something so outlandish, something you work really hard at. No, I want you to look back as far back as you can think of what has come to you naturally your entire life. I know for me, one of the things I shared before on my podcast that my past life, I was a professional dancer and actress. So I was pursuing that for a solid close to 30 years since I was a little girl up into my 30s. And the whole time I thought that's what I wanted to do. Yes, that was part of my soul's journey, but it was also ego driven as well. And in that time, I always asked myself, am I doing the right thing? What am I meant to do? What is my purpose? And I'll come back to what my head was telling me, what my ego wanted. It was to be, famous, being center of attention, being in the limelight. And that's what my ego wanted. And not that there's anything wrong with that. So for some people, that's part of their soul's journey. That's part of what they're here to do. But for me, it wasn't. But in the midst of it all, in that close to 30 years of pursuing film and television work and doing that, like actually doing things on TV and movies, I was still like on the outside, some people would be like, well, I thought this was it for you. This is what you always said you wanted. I thought so too. But in the midst of it, I always felt like, what am I here for? What am I meant to do? What am I really good at? And the things I overlooked were things that did come naturally to me that I didn't have to try so hard at. And some of those things were wisdom. I was always told I was an old soul, and I always felt that too. I always connected with people much older than me. I had these bigger questions. I had these intuitions about what was going to happen, what was meant to be, why we were here, like a deeper connection and a higher connection to God, to the universe. And all those things, I would tap into and be like, oh, okay, great. And then kind of go along my way and apply it to where I was in life. And sometimes I applied it to my professional work as a dancer, and other times I didn't. And it's funny enough that every time I did tune in, tap in, and plug into that space of higher consciousness, of God's source, the universe, things were just so much easier. Things just felt so much better, felt so much more aligned in my life. And then I like just plug out of that, right? And things didn't go so well always. But that's just the journey of life. That's just part of being a spiritual and human being. So look at your natural gifts. What are your natural gifts? What are some of the things that come naturally? Because when I look back, wisdom was always part of it. Tapping into a higher consciousness was always a part of it for me. I always felt like when my friends or family members told me something, or even just watching TV, I can tap in very quickly to what the real issue was. I can tune in on an energetic level. And all those things I just overlooked. I didn't think that was part of my life's path. And I've mentioned before, if you had told me I was going to be a spiritual life coach, I would have been like, number one, what the heck is that? And number two, hell to the no. Like I would have never, ever associated myself with that. But during my soul searching journey and I, finally answered that call, I it just so meant for me. I know this is what I'm meant to do. So, to help you to affirm where you're at or what the next step is for you is look at your natural gifts. List those out, the things you think are not that big a deal, and I promise you they will come into play in some shape or form and probably not in the way that you think it's supposed to look like. So if you're like, I love organization, I love cleaning, but I don't want to be a house cleaner, I don't want to have a cleaning business, don't go so far yet. Just start with what comes to you naturally and what has been some of your talents and gifts and strong suits. And just list that out. And maybe by listing that out, it affirms to you more affirmation of what it is that you might be thinking you're meant to do, or just staying on that path. And when you're in that space and plugged into what are your gifts? You're going to see things, the next steps slowly unfold for you. I actually have a free giveaway on my Starseed Academy coach training website where it helps you identify what your gifts are and how to use that to amplify income and make a change in the world. So go to starseedacademycoachtraining.com and download Amplify Your Gifts, and this amplifies your confidence and your income and your impact. So you can go to my site and get that. So number 1 is to look at your natural gifts. Number 2, what sets your soul on fire? What expands you? What sets your heart on fire? So now you want to tune into the energetics of you, tune into your energetic body, and notice what are the things that expand you, that light you up, that makes you feel like you can transcend space and time. It just feels like you're floating. One of those things for me has always been meditation when I learned about meditation in my early 20s. And again, that was long before I knew I was going to be a spiritual coach. I was more tapping into it because I remember coming across this Ayana Von Zant guided meditation. It was on CD back in the day, and a friend loaned it to me. I had anxiety and my ego, my mind, I was just totally what was running my life. And when I listened to this meditation and had that spurt moment of silence, of calmness, of my thoughts just going away, of my anxiety lessening, and the more I started meditating, my anxiety just started going away and it became more manageable for me. I was like, whoa, that space. And when I opened up into that space, more and more just started coming to me in that space. I started recognizing my reality and what I was creating from that light space and what reality I was creating from a contracted, ego filled, ego led space. So tune into the things that make you feel light, that make you feel expanded. Again, it may be things that are going to be unrelated to your next career move. But for me, that was meditation, that was prayer, that was journaling, that was self development. I could lose myself in that in for hours. So look at those parts of you that you feel like, man, I would love to do this. If I could get paid to do this, you'd be set for life. And I always say, like, don't discount anything. Like, if you say, I love drawing, I love watching cartoons, I love reading, there are so many jobs out there. And if the job is not there, you can create it for yourself. Like, if you could tell somebody that you can't get paid to make drawings, like, go tell that to someone who works at Disney, right? Tell that to someone who loves to play video games. Tell that to the people who create video games or, they get paid to test it out, or people who just love watching movies. You can get paid to watch movies. I love hearing jobs like that because they're so unconventional and there's people out there who are doing it and who were told you can't make a living off of that. So don't ever, ever discount the things that light you up, that make you feel so expanded, so happy, so light. Because for me, if you had told me I would have been paid to teach self development, to write books, to lead courses, to run a coaching school, to train other coaches, I couldn't have fathomed that. But when I look back to all the things that made me feel light and expanded and free, it all came back to those moments, those micro moments, and then, became bigger moments. And that became my life. That's my reality now. And so I just want to lead you to those hints of your heart, to those clues of your soul, because it's already there within you of what you're meant to do next. Let me just finish off that point. So the things that do contract you, if you're like, I have no clue what expands me because I'm just in such a heavy contracted space, start there too. What are the things that contract your energy? Notice what comes closer to your body, makes you feel tense or tight. Those are clues as well as to what is not aligned for you, what is not meant for you. It could be being around a certain person or doing a type of job or being told to do something that really contracts you. For me, I'm not really good at being a team player. I'm not really good at being told what to do. I'm a manifestor in human design. And when I learned my human design, I was like, "Oh, that makes total sense as to why I hate when people give me instructions or tell me what to do." I'm so not that person. I do well working alone. I like being my own energy. I'm a creator. I need to be in my own space. And yes, there are moments, well, I love giving and I love being in the group atmosphere, hence why I teach a lot of groups. And actually is what I'm focusing on more this year is teaching more groups. So through Star State Academy, I'll be teaching the cohorts there along with some of my co-instructors. And then in my private coaching practice, I'll be focusing on more masterminds and group coaching and just doing very limited private coaching. So back to my point, I notice what contracts me. I notice what expands me, and I choose more of what expands me. And the more that you choose expansion, the more your life will expand. And the more you will draw in into your reality, into your atmosphere of the things that light you up, that expand you, are aligned for you. It's not going to come to you if you consistently choose to stay contracted. And you might say, well, it's my job, it's my partner, it's my kids. Yes, I understand those influences, but you are the creator. You are the decision maker. You can choose right here, right now to become aware of the things that contract you or expand you. And from awareness, then you can choose consciously what you're going to do from there. Then you could choose, okay, I'm going to limit my time with being around certain groups. I'm going to limit my time on social media. When I come home from work, I'm going to do this one thing that makes me feel clear and cleansed and grounded and expanded. And then from that place, I'm then going to do one thing to explore what my next steps are in my career. Or I'm going to do that one thing to do that certification. I'm going to read that one book that will help me move forward. So you're always creating your life from a place of expansion or contraction. If you are feeling in this dense, contracted space, you have unconsciously or perhaps consciously choosing the thing that is not in alignment for you. And you are actually choosing by default, you are choosing unconsciously, and you don't recognize that you can choose something different. You don't recognize that you are the decision maker, you are the force behind everything. You are the power maker, I want to say. You get to choose, and it starts with awareness. So bring awareness to what contracts you or expands you and start choosing more of what expands you. Okay, number 3, my last point here today to know if you are living in alignment to your true calling. Check in with your soul. No matter what is going on, where you are in life, whether you have your own business, whether you're on a path that you consciously chose as your career and you left an old job, or you're at that desk job being like, what the heck am I meant to do? I do not want to do this anymore. Check in with your soul. Your soul has the answers. How do you do that? There's so many ways you can do that. Do the things that light you up. Go and do a meditation. I have a meditation. You just kind of scroll back. I have one, Uncover Your Soul's Calling, Your Soul's Mission. I help you with that. I have so many meditations for free. Just scroll my meditations on my podcast here, or also go to my YouTube channel. But check in with your soul. Just get quiet. Check into that space, that experience, that look, that feeling is different for everyone. For me, it's that quiet place in my center. It is that indestructible energetic force within me. That is my soul that I talk to, I lean into, I build a relationship with and become stronger. If you're not used to that, then it's going to feel a little harder at the beginning, but it's not impossible. It is possible. It might feel like a whisper. You all have experiences of it. It's so different for everybody, no matter how frequently you tap into it or not. Your soul is there calling out for you. Check into your soul. What does it have to say? Last year, when it was a tough year for me in for my business, for so many things, the way I run my business, with finances, with so many things in my personal life. I was deconstructing the ego within myself. Like I just felt like everything was kind of crumbling, but really was just internally that identity and who I was to that point was deconstructing. And it was such a gift. Now I can see that in hindsight, but also in the moment, I'm like, I know this is for the greater good. And it has. But my point is, in those moments, no matter how bad it got, to the moments where I was like, am I meant to do a whole new career change again? Because I know things can change very rapidly for me. Maybe I'm meant to close both my businesses. Even though it was coming in, it just wasn't going the way I had planned, how I wanted it to be. But the point is, I was to that point of like, I think I need to close the doors. Maybe this is the point. And no matter how bad it got, I knew enough to quiet my mind and get in touch with my soul and ask my soul, am I meant to close these businesses? Is am is this it for me? Is there something else? What am I supposed to do? And every time the answer was no, keep going, keep going. And I did. And thank God I did. And I'll be sharing more of that and how to transmute all of that, any pain, any suffering, anything that the deconstruction of your ego, and evolve and expand and grow into the next level and that vision that you have, because that's all unfolding for me, even more so now because I went through the shadow of it all. So the point of this is, no matter where you're at a desk, at a job that you feel like is sucking your soul, or you made that career jump and you feel like it's not going according to plan or what you had expected it to be like, no matter how bad it may be, no matter where you are, quiet the mind and get in touch with your soul and ask your soul what it knows and what you are meant to do. Because it will tell you if you listen. If you're expecting a certain answer, you want to hear something in a certain way, and right now, if you're demanding it, if you're restricting your soul from speaking, you're not going to hear it, or you're not going to hear what you want to hear. So checking in with your soul will let you know whether you're in or out of alignment to your true calling. Even to bring it back, when I did check into my soul, not knowing at the time I was speaking to my soul back in my dancer days, when I would ask, is this what I meant to do? And the answer was clearly no. I would literally hear the answer no, or some sort of version or feeling of that. And I'll be like, oh, no, 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 that's probably just like my ego mind talking, right? I just talk myself out of it and stay longer on the path that I wasn't really aligned with and wasn't meant for me and created, therefore, more suffering for myself internally. But when I check into my soul now, as I run Starseed Academy, as I have my own coaching practice, and we're moving on to like 10 years of doing all of this, I had those moments, multiple moments of like, am I meant to end all of this? Am I meant to do something different? And the answer every time has been, no, this is your calling. Keep going. Just keep going. This is all for the greater good. And it has been. Your soul is not going to lie to you. So that's what I want to share with you today, how to know you are living your true calling. And start with your natural gifts. Then check into, you don't have to do this in this any particular order, but what I shared today was number one, check with your natural gifts. Number two, what sets your heart and soul on fire? What makes you feel expanded, light, and free? Follow more of that. And number three, check in with your soul. No matter how bad things are, or no matter how bad things get, what does your soul have to say about it? And the more you listen to your soul, the more you choose lightness, the more you choose to live in a state of expansion, the more you trust yourself and you trust your innate natural gifts, the more you're going to answer that calling. It will show up in a text, in a conversation, in a call, or that moment something just lights up. You're like, this is what I'm meant to do. It may show up in a dream. It may show up as a friend mentioning something. Someone asks you something and that aha, that light bulb just goes off. The answer is only going to come when you are in alignment. So your job is to set yourself up. Listen to your gifts, listen to your soul, listen to and follow that energy of what is expanded and light and free of you and what really makes you feel most like you, because that's who you are. You are a light expanded being. You are this infinite being. And the more you set yourself up to be in that state, if you don't feel like you're in that state, but ultimately, the more you trust and ground and emerge in that state more and allow yourself to be more you, the more you shall be. So I hope this helps you today. You can go back, listen to this. If you go on the site, we have all the questions laid out for you as well. goddessofwisdom.ca/podcast for all of the reflection questions. And if any of this is speaking to you and you may already know what your calling is, and if that calling is, I have spiritual gifts, I'm intuitive, I want to make a difference, I want to serve, I want to use my life to serve and inspire people and change lives and create a life on my terms, on your own terms, and build that life of abundance, wealth, and freedom, then perhaps Starseed Academy Coach Training is for you. It is an ICF accredited spiritual coach certification program. And we take you through everything from your coaching skills, the coaching flow, how to build a business, how to market your business, how to find aligned clients, who you are meant to serve, how to build your business around your life and live a life of freedom. Then Starseed Academy Coach Training is for you. Our next cohort starts this spring. And we have two cohorts starting. We have one in the daytime, one in the evening time. So go to starseedacademycoachtraining.com to learn more and apply for a spot today. Thank you all for listening. Sending you all so much love and light.